Iconics wrestling fans. What day is it today? It is not Wednesday, but it's Wednesday Night Dynamite review on Just Three Gents with myself, JVL, and Adolfo again.
Woo!
You're back 2 weeks in a row.
Where? Who? What? This is
Where?
a collision? What happened?
It's the other show.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
the B show.
It's the
My God, Adolfo, I'm so glad to have you back here.
I am
going
happy
over
to be
Dynamite
back.
again.
I am happy to be back.
You know, it was wonderful that, and we are joined, I think, via satellite by the Professor somewhere. Professor, are you there?
I'm stuck in a locker.
Okay,
How?
he seems
How?
like trapped. I know.
How?
It's just his emotions trap him sometimes, and now it's just like physically manifesting. Adolfo,
Yes,
we
sir.
talked a little bit off camera, but it's been great to have you watching the other shows, getting context for some things that are brought to Rampage, brought to Collision.
Mhm.
This, for me, was a Dynamite that was back to kind of its old school style that we had earlier in the year. A couple of new things they've been working on that kind of worked, but I'm glad you got to enjoy this one because this is kind of where Dynamite has been, not
Right.
where it is currently at this point. So did it engross you? Did it take you in a little bit, or was it still kind of a...
No, it was engrossing. It did enough to keep me wanting to watch until the end.
That's all we can ask.
there
That's
we go.
all we can ask.
Exactly.
And speaking of new things, as I said before, though, we start off with a quick promo, not even the title card, not even the card of AEW. We go right to Renee backstage with MJF because this was the MJF show. This was MJF's Dynamite from Philly.
Yeah, for like the first 45 minutes, it was just MJF. Not saying it was a bad thing, but
But his face was everywhere.
Yeah.
Renee brings him on, and he wants to make a phone call. He gets through to Adam Cole. Finally, they're talking to each other, and he gets interrupted by the Kingdom and Roddy Strong, who are there to be nice. Please give me your thoughts and insights on this, because I know you haven't been here for most of the roller coaster, so I want to know how you feeling on this.
As far as spots go, like I feel that is one of the more inventive spots that I have seen in a long time. And I am a goofy wrestling guy, and I'm good with it. I'm good with it. I'm also good with what happened, which we'll talk about. I'm good with it. I'm entertained. It's entertaining to me. It's entertaining, and I love just how dismissive MJF is about Roddy Strong and the whole Next Strong team, the freaking giraffe. I mean, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
It's so good. I enjoyed the quietness of the roll off. Like they pulled it off really well theatrically. We didn't hear this like bang 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 off there. So good.
So good.
And then I wrote this down. Did you see this? Or I'm just curious. His promo afterwards, where he's getting really into it, was like very old school. But then it sounded like he was going to say live from New York. It's Saturday night. Like he was in that kind of like that verve, that groove.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's hosting SNL like later on this season, so he's got to be at this point. But that's his audition tape. We then transition hard left into the titles, and we start off with Juice Robinson versus MJF. For that Dynamite Diamond Ring, which MJF is the 4-time winner going for 5. And Juice Robinson was going to pawn it off. And, this
going on
match...
vacation, Juice. We're going on vacation.
We got to pawn it off. That's later on. Jay White came down to give a great bit of commentary there. For me, this was what I expected it was going to be. Was a lot of shenanigans, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. I will give the cameramen props. They did not catch Juice blading this time. They usually catch anybody blading. This was a lot of like the same MJF match you've seen a bunch of times. Oddly mirrored with Juice Robinson also playing that weird heel at the same time. Like they were very, very evenly matched.
Yeah, I felt that they worked really well off each other. I was kind of bummed that we didn't get as much of that chaotic gremlin energy from Juice. It seemed like it was a more serious Juice Robinson that came in. They worked well out with each other. You're 100% correct. Kudos to the cameraman for not catching the blade, because when he came up with bleeding, I was like, ooh, here we go. Like you said, we had the out-ring shenanigans from the Guns, casting distraction over here, and choking MJF. But it was an enjoyable first match. It had its valleys and its peaks. It had its serious moments. It had its ridiculous moments. I cannot keep a straight face when MJF does that whole kangaroo kick thing.
And it's not the prettiest missile dropkick either. Like, it's a really pretty bad front dropkick, but
Yeah. But
also, the other silly thing, did you notice early in the match when they're all outside for a while, MJF has to get back in to break the count. He rolls in, flips off Bryce Remsburg, and then rolls back out again. It's like, come on, man.
Yep. And I think of anything, this is a good example of why MJF is so popular with the crowd, with the people, because he's charismatic. But he gives you the memes that you want to see. He did a shout out Ultimate Warrior. He did his Hulk Hogan thing, which which fed the wrestling fans. But then he would like you said, he flipped off of the ref, and and saying this, that, and the other, and it was great. It was great. So it was entertaining. I enjoyed it.
I also I'll bring this in during this match and then going into the promos afterwards. This was the night they were in Philly, big ECW crowd. You knew they were going to have Taz on commentary helping out. This was the night of Taz just not knowing where he was. Like, he pulled the JR this evening. Just in this match alone, Taz couldn't tell apart Juice Robinson and Jay White when Jay White was on commentary. Kept saying Jay White's in the ring doing all these things. This was also during the picture-in-picture break. For most of it, because then he to defend himself said, well, no one's listening anyways, and we got a bunch of time left, and they couldn't keep track of how much time they had left in the break, so they cut things earlier. Then I love, because of that, Taz's defense is, well, there is no break. So I wrote down, I wish Taz. I wish there was no break.
I wish Taz.
Picture-in-picture sucks so much.
It does. It does. Yeah.
And then having Jay White there, Tony Schiavone turns to Jay White, and Jay White's complaining like, "There's a double standard on this. It's a double standard of the referee." And Tony Schiavone goes, "I love double standards. I live for double standards, Jay." I do have a question for you in this. I know we're going a little off tangent, but every time I see a blade job or a bleed job like this, you have the refs put on the gloves.
Yes,
for safety, for biohazard, that type of stuff. But then you have Juice headbanging during his pin. And you see the droplets of blood flying in Bryce Remsburg's eyes and his mouth. Like, what are the gloves for? There's no protection.
Right? Yeah. I mean, at that point,
goggles.
It's just like you might as well. I don't know. I guess it's more of a like a peace of mind type thing.
I guess so. It's theater.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's theater. Oh, I have gloves on. I feel better. But, like, you're forgetting that not only that, but, like, just wrestling, you start sweating, and if you blade yourself, that blood is mixing up with the sweat, and it's going all over the place itself. I mean, that one turnbuckle was red.
Yeah, completely. Soaked in.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess it's just like a mental, I have my gloves on. I'm safe.
It's like going to the airport and all this. It's theater.
Exactly.
Speaking of Bryce Remsburg as well, he now needs to be in the next AEW game like Aubrey Edwards was, because him kicking the Guns in the face was brutal.
Fantastic. Oh man!
It's just like I got him.
Oh man! It was like a farmer protecting his chicken from coyotes. Man,
get your ass over here!
Oh, it was so good.
And the Guns are pecking at him. It was great. So
it was
good. Get that MJF ends up winning through nefarious means because they both put on their rings and both go for punches, and MJF lays him out. Which great. Yeah, I kind of did want to see him lose the ring to Juice Robinson and have that whole thing play out, but I guess this is kind of where we got to go with it. MJF's got to kind of win, and then we have the promo battle because he gets beat up by the Guns, which we knew was going to happen. Jay White comes down, and the Kingdom and Roddy Strong come rolling down the ramp, and I swear to God, they forgot Roddy was in the wheelchair because he started veering to the left off the ramp.
Yep. Well, don't forget that first, because Jay White had come down for commentary, did a great job, wonderful job, Jay White, wonderful job. But then after the match, Bullet Club Gold at the top of the ramp started jawing off to MJF, and that's what kicked off this guest spot,
Yeah.
But yeah, then Roderick Strong and the Next Strong group comes rolling in, which
Rodney
again,
really
I was just, that was again. It's just he sells it so well.
He does. He really does. He finally is having fun with something. It's so much fun to watch.
Max, I'm right here.
Well, in the Kingdom dive in, they half-assed getting beat up by the guns and leave.
Yeah, and they leave, right?
And the Acclaimed come out.
And the music hits, and here comes the Acclaimed. And then Max Caster. So it was the whole Max Caster being
stalker type of thing, but also big fanboy.
You're right. It seemed like they kind of downplayed that in this spot. I mean, Max Caster was still, weird. Not the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean.
Like possessive.
Right, exactly. But that wasn't like the focus of that, And we did almost get a scissor. We did almost get a MJF scissor. So
got close, but he's still a scumbag.
Yeah, he's still a scumbag. Yeah.
But now it's like everyone's fighting for his attention. Again, we talked about this is the Max show. Like everyone wants to be part of his world. It's like the Jericho vortex of doom, except people are actually doing well in the storylines and like they're being furthered, which is strange.
And then MJF goes up the ramp, after he
we're going to commercial,
scissor. Right. He's going up the ramp and hey, let's toss out Kenny Omega. It's like,
and his extremely hard nipples, like just
right.
Like, I've never seen a man so excited to like stalk on in tight jeans to take on a steroid rated, MJF.
Woof. But yeah,
and then glass with those, I was a little bit excited by, but that's.
I mean, fair. He does have some nice nipples, but
he does. He does.
So then you have MJF and Kenny Omega shooting at each other, and this does lead to we're going to be seeing MJF versus Kenny Omega at Collision, which is cool. But they were just cramming so much in this spot. Like, it was like, whoa, calma, por favor,
Well, I feel like they've worked on before where you have breathing room between the promos, and when people have complained about the amount of promos on the show. And if you're trying to make storylines happen, especially with this, where the one person's the center of 3 storylines, you kind of have to cram them into one, because otherwise you're getting like MJF backstage 4 more times. And this also played to the crowd, like you never know who's going to pop out and what's going to happen. So let's give them everything we can. But it is a lot at once, and they did it again later in the night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is what they've been going to, where they're jam-packing segments full of like 18 things versus like a long match or a long promo or something else. And I don't know whether I'm okay with this. It's definitely a change of pace from other wrestling that I've watched, but I'm not. I don't know. It seems like it's just like it's overloading me a bit. It's the ADHD wrestling.
Yeah, I felt really overloaded as well. Really overloaded as well.
Oh my God. Speaking of being overloaded, though, we want to be overloaded with subscribers and other things here. If you haven't already, if you're liking what you're hearing or you want to do something else, subscribe to the BC Wrestle Pod on YouTube, on our podcast feeds. Follow us on socials. Drop a comment. How hard were Kenny Omega's nipples? I want examples. Please put them in the comments.
Please tell us in the comments.
Exactly. We want to hear about it. That was the first real segment of the show that took nearly 45 minutes.
Yep.
It was incredibly long and jam-packed, and then we jump to a pre-tape promo after we come back from commercial.
Yep.
Where Wardlow finally can kind of talk about why he's back.
Again, about MJF, though.
Did you learn anything about Wardlow you didn't know from this? Did you feel like this was a necessary promo to put out there?
I felt like I was watching Vision Quest with him doing the running up the stairs. I was waiting for him to pull out the log and
I kind of liked how they had Wardlow come. As much as I didn't like the squashes, him not talking and not like just being the silent monster he used to be was more grass.
You see, yeah.
And this kind of just like takes the mystique away and just like, yep, I am still upset about Max and I really don't want to deal with him and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I much more appreciated him coming out, squashing someone, and just having MJF written on his,
and then pushing Tony Schiavone.
Right, and then pushing Tony Schiavone.
We then got to the hometown match of the night where you had the Dark Order who got the jobber entrance, even though we caught a little bit of their stuff there because again,
a little bit. Yep.
That's because again, hearing the Fight TV thing, they were coming back. They were talking about like we're on weird time. We got a minute to go. Whatever. We're back on here. So you cut back to that, and then you have Rob Van Dam and Hook as a team. And
yeah. I feel maybe I'm alone in this, but they work really well. Rob Van Dam and Hook.
They were so good. I did enjoy at the end when Taz was saying, yeah, it's basically Uncle Rob. Uncle Rob said, come down, I'll show you what to do. Like, of course it's Uncle Rob. It's, the guy that you knew growing up.
Yeah.
They work really well together. You could see Hook was having fun.
Yeah.
And he also somehow...
Rob Van Dam was having fun.
Rob Van Dam was having a blast.
Yeah.
He was in front of a Philly crowd. Hook also probably just conditioned his hair before he came out because it was the most flowing and floppy
it was
in a while.
Fantastic.
It was a quaff, and it never got messed up.
It was a Pantene commercial in itself.
Red
fantastic.
Rum, just for Hook. For me on this one, Dark Order I always love seeing because they sell the crap out of everything. It's so much fun to watch them.
Yeah.
Hook got a very mediocre response when he entered.
Yep.
And we knew it was because Rob Van Dam was going to get the pop,
Yep.
but then he got a definite good pop and a lot of EC dub chants when he was in. So boost that boy's confidence.
Yep.
I will say my move of the night, like my moment of the night was in this match, was the John Silver powerbomb, one-arm powerbomb onto Alex Reynolds' knees because it bent Hook backwards like a full blow. It was
that looked vicious. That did look vicious.
And Rob Van Dam hasn't lost a step.
I was just gonna say I am thoroughly impressed at how good Rob Van Dam still looks. Fan of older wrestlers in these golden years, still chasing that rabbit. We saw how it didn't work out for Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
We saw how it didn't work out for Hulk Hogan. So when I saw earlier in the year, when I saw Rob Van Dam was being announced, I was like,
Well, and we had just seen Boo earlier who really couldn't go anymore.
Right.
We've seen a couple of ECW originals that definitely their bodies are gone. So
yeah.
And Rob's lifestyle, as we know, I mean, that's probably half the reason he's in the best shape he is, but still.
Yes, yeah. He's up there in age, and also he has those years of wrestling damage on his body, so I always fear that that's going to be their last match.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? We're gonna see them try to pull a move, and then the camera's gonna cut because either a certain person having a heart attack,
Ric Flair,
or breaking a leg or something like that, but seeing Rob Van Dam move, like you said, hasn't missed a beat, hitting those high kicks, going up to the top rope, and having fun, and not seeming like, this is one of my issues with Matt Hardy, who we will talk about later on, but he's still trying to do it, but if you watch him, he kind of looks like he has bad frame per second reading. He kind of
he's lagging. He's
lagging. But RVD did not have any of that, and it's impressive. It's impressive.
It really is, and he was a joy to be there. He was enjoying every bit of it. It was a fun match to watch because of that too. Because they worked well together, they pulled it off. Yeah. The Van Terminator was nuts against Evil Uno, which then I died in my chair watching him fall into the chair and nearly Pillmanize himself trying to get out of the ring on accident.
Yep.
Which it was fast paced enough. They had the high spots, and having Hook get the win over John Silver was the right way to go because you don't need Rob Van Dam to pick another win up.
Right. Exactly.
Really well done, and
it was
like
well
you
done.
said, there's just people in this company now. Sting, who nearly is dead, are just hurting themselves over and over again. Van Dam looks like he could do a decent part-time to almost full-time schedule for a year, and go on a run with a mid-card title and just bring people with him and bring that ECW thing to himself.
Yep.
We go on from a really good match that was not as wouldn't think would be up there with the matches of this thing to my favorite promos going right now, and has jumped leaps and bounds since the first couple, has learned from its mistakes and gone on from that. We had the next installment of Timeless Tony Storm's wonderful film series. This was what did the butler say? And Luther as the butler.
Luther. I am so ready to see the shenanigans that Luther causes.
It's going to be amazing.
It's so good. Oh, it's so good.
At the same time, I'm thinking...
The butler.
Oh, you were just standing there. I'm wondering how all these are going to play into her story too, because she seems like she's doing them in the time that's happening now. It's not like a past life, but she's still playing that like disgraced starlet.
Yeah.
So are these things that like have been running concurrently? Was this her past thing and she's finally cracking? I want to know where she's going with it, because that seems like it's much more fun. And God, Tony Storm, eating a mandarin the hard way. Go for it.
What was it that she said?
Well, he said, I'll call you Luther, Madam Clementine.
Clementine. So good. It was so good. It was so good. It was so good. I hope they come out with a supercut of these timeless Tony Storm movies. Yeah.
That I noticed, like, oh God, another promo. Like, oh yes, I'm invested. This is entertainment. It's not just someone talking on a camera and then saying live from New York at Saturday night. Like, this is what it needs to be. I say that because we then jump into an in-ring promo going on about what happened before. And I will say this off first. Thank you, Tony Schiavone, for cutting Sting off, because otherwise this thing would have gone on for 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
But we have Sting to elaborate on more about his retirement.
Wait, did you say Sting's retiring?
And like more self-aggrandizing, but also thanking the people he forgot, which was Tony Khan and Darby Allin, which was the setting for the next line.
And the lead up to this was that Tony Khan said that he had a gift for Sting.
Exactly.
I thought he was going to get, Tony Khan was going to be in the ring, and it was going to be like a presentation type situation, and they were going to present him with something,
the
and
mentor
then,
award or something.
Right. And then Luchasaurus was like going to pop out of it and like, beat him with the award or something like that, while Christian Cage laughs from the top of the ramp. Like, that's in my mind what was going to happen.
But no, we hear the strings of Thus Spoke Zarathustra, and 8,000-year-old Ric Flair
Ric Flair
comes to the ring, and Sting was retiring, and there's Ric Flair, and Adelphi, I know we talked about this, but my heart, I'm watching this man who obviously, pissed away all of his money, and so has to keep doing all this stuff and can't stop, and he can barely get down the ramp.
Yeah. And not only that, but when he was in ring and he was trying to like hype up, you could see it was hurting him.
Yeah.
And he liked to have like, and everyone else was like, whoa, calm
like,
down.
You're gonna have a heart attack right now.
Yeah.
He gave Sting the weakest chop.
Oh, like, chop man, yeah. And he didn't he didn't really look like he wanted to do that, He kind of
no.
He looked like he just wanted. He looked like he wanted to stand up, say his bit, and then like that's it. Now I get it that Sting and Nature Boy, they have history. That we can't gloss that over, and it was a nice gesture, but I feel it would have worked better if maybe Nature Boy was at Sting's last match type deal.
It was nice. This felt like this should have been at Sting's retirement actual ceremony.
Yes.
It shouldn't have been this far out.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if it's because like Ric Flair wants to hang out with Andrade a bit. And
maybe.
Him. But at the same time, I did think how's this going to affect Charlotte now with her dad just jumping ship because his WWE.
Right, but does an in-ring appearance make him AEW? You know what I mean? Like,
so they talked about this, and I say they, Wrestle Talk and Cultaholic brought this up. They likened it back to when Rob Van Dam did one promo with Hook, and then his entire WrestleMania plans he was going to do, because he was going to come back and do a little run, were scrapped because he dared go to the competition and be there for a ostensibly one thing.
Right.
So this could have ramifications in the fact of like he has to be All Elite at this point because no one else is going to hire him or bring him back because of all the controversy around him. But at the same time, it's also like he's spitting back in the face of WWE, but he's back in kind of his home territory of like, I was never a WWE guy. I had to be. Right. Now I'm back at this.
Right.
As this was going on, they're talking about the good old days. The wonderful stylings of the dead dad fetish loving Christian Cage comes out, who I assume thought that Ric Flair was a dead dad, or at least a deadbeat dad. That's why he's so hard to go. Came out to run both of them down. And again, the first thing in my mind was, oh God, it's the same storyline going round and round. It's Darby Allin and Sting, Christian and Luchasaurus and all this stuff. And didn't need to be there, but they challenged Sting, like, we got to get you out of this company now. We're going to take you down. You need to find a third person for your partnership, because unless you want to bring Ric Flair, who, you know, should have died 20 years ago and all that stuff. Yeah. And the funny part is, Christian running down Flair didn't get the heat that it got for the botched Phillies line for getting cheap hometown heat. Because, oh my God, like, that was just, it was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, I'm okay with this, right? Okay. If this is the final chapter and we're gonna move on from this whole Darby Allin, Sting, Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, Nick Wayne thing, if we're gonna move once Sting retires.
Wait, did you say Sting's retiring?
Right. If we're gonna move on, okay, fine. I'll be fine. I'm okay with it. I don't even mind the Christian Cage faction. I feel that if they want to see the whole Sting Darby Allin thing through until Sting retires, and then they can focus on like the fracturing, you know, because we've already seen some fractures with Luchasaurus and Christian Cage. What was it? Wrestle Dream, Christian Cage, Luchasaurus wrestled Nick Wayne, right? So I have a feeling that contention going on with Luchasaurus and the other two. Yeah, especially with the way that Christian Cage is treating Nick Wayne, like, you know, like a little baby, you know, and it's kind of like, it feels like he's neglecting his first son. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So if this is what happens, then I'm good with it. You know.
100%. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
But and we'll find out later who they may have tried to find for their third, because obviously they're not going to get Ric Flair to do this, which didn't work to the most part. But it's really what it is.
Yep.
Another promo after this. So we had a full promo set. We cut to commercial. We come back. Renee is talking to Chris Jericho on a pre-tape, and honestly, this promo didn't need to be here.
Nope. Could have cut it out.
Could have cut it completely out.
Yep. Either that or shortened it.
True. My thought was, like, listening to part of it was, with this whole Sting retirement angle, which was right before it.
Wait, did you say Sting's retiring?
They're playing up like Jericho sounding like he's retiring at the same point, or like he's just lost too much of a step. So it's like, was this kind of like a thing that was already in the works, or like is it being overshadowed? It just doesn't resonate to me like Sting's retirement does.
Wait, did you say Sting's retiring?
Yeah. So why are we doing it? And then he's going to call a big friend. Who does he love? You've set up like everything.
So when I said that this segment could have been shorter, I was engaged when he was talking about Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah.
And he was, you know, talking about each time Powerhouse Hobbs slammed him into the mat, you know, he was just getting like deeper and deeper into this hole, you know, like that was engaging to me. And then, you know, when he was like, oh, if I still have a step or not, like, you could have left it there and, you know, kind of had the whole David versus Goliath thing with Jericho and Powerhouse Hobbs, right? Maybe not. Maybe Chris Jericho not feuding with the entirety of the Don Callis Renaissance Club.
Yeah.
You know, but just like specifically Powerhouse Hobbs and then, you know, build it up to a match where he actually wins, and then, you know, Chris Jericho can kind of like go on and do something else. You know, not he doesn't need to retire from ring, but like be a manager or something like that. Because again, Chris Jericho is one of those guys. He's losing a step. You know,
has lost a step. Has lost a bunch.
Yeah, and I feel going out on top is the best thing. You know, and and I really think a rivalry with Powerhouse Hobbs, which culminates in a victory over Powerhouse Hobbs. That's, you know, cherry on the sundae, out.
Pretty much. The other part is that it sounds like they're trying to tell the Rocky Clubber Lang story.
Yeah.
But in a weirder way, like where he's playing both the Apollo Creed and Rocky parts as Jericho, and it's it's unfocused and it's not resonating as much with the emotionality of it. It is true. I can see the truth in it.
Yep.
But I feel like Jericho doesn't believe it himself, so obviously there's going to be a thing about it. So,
yeah,
I don't know. That was another promo that could have probably been removed to give us time for another women's match or another women's promo, because that would have been great this evening. We didn't get that. We unfortunately move on, and I say unfortunately because it hurts me to watch the Hardy Boys work anymore. The Hardy Boys and Brother Zay is doing the best he can to take all the stuff. They took on the Hun Bucks for the ROH Trios Championships, and it was a match.
It was a match. I feel like this match could have been left out, and we could have put another women's match in here.
Take the Hung Bucks, send them down to ROH, have them defend it on ROH this week. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Have them get that time in.
Yeah.
My example of what this entire match was to me was watching Matt Hardy do a side effect and the grimace on his face because he knows he's going to land on his bad hip, and just it resonates. Like, he loves this so much that he's continuing to do it, but his body's telling him, you can't be here anymore.
Yeah.
That's all the story of the Hardys is, and I think they're just trying to spin their wheels until they can get to the eventual, hopefully, Edge and Christian, Adam Copeland, Christian Cage duel with them. But I mean,
But will that look good?
At this point, probably, because Adam and Christian are young enough and have had less ring time on them that they can probably carry the Hardys to something, because Jeff can be explosive once in a blue moon.
Yeah, he can.
Matt, if he gets to be taunting and doing the psychology stuff, can still pull it off. But if you want him to walk more than 3 feet, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And the other thing I had thought about was, if you really want to go the old route of this, if you can get it done, you do Adam and Christian, you get the Hardys, and you get the Dudley Boys, and you do one last match for all of them, and do everyone retires match.
Yeah,
because that's the way to go.
That would be, that would be fun.
Not TLC. We're not doing anything with ladders.
Well, yeah, but like if you have if you bring in the Dudleys, ladder, that's expected. Ladders and chairs, tables.
Sure,
ladders,
at least
chairs.
tables. You at least have the tables with them. You can do a tables one. You could have a ladder involved. Jeff Hardy probably will go off it one more time.
Yeah,
but it's not meant to be like that. Yeah, so I feel like that's what they're trying to get them to, and they have to keep them relevant. But God, the Hardys, they're just. I want to wrap Matt in some bubble wrap and just leave him alone. Like, he's just not built like that anymore.
Yeah, this match felt like it was just a preamble to the next spot that we saw.
It had to be to get Hangman Page on our screens.
Yeah, because the next may I?
Yeah, yes, please go. So, I want you to go on this because I want to hear this.
So the next spot was the Jumbotron kicks on, and you see Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Prince Nana breaking into Hangman Adam Page's house because the whole thing is Swerve Strickland. He thinks that Hangman Adam Page took something from him, so now he needs to take something from Hangman Adam Page. It's an old heel trope, and it's a old heel way of doing it, where the heel comes and he attacks the babyface's family. Okay, fine, but this was definitely a segment where I had to split my mind on this, and it did not make it enjoyable. So the reason why I had to split my mind was, on the one hand, as a wrestling fan, Swerve Strickland is a heel. He's doing what heels do. He's getting that heat, right? However, to have the colored, to have the African Americans breaking into the white man's house. I had issues with that. Being a 100%. Person of color myself, it's kind of like why I have issues with Dominic Mysterio and the character that the whole inmate Dom
ex-con
Dom thing that he has. I'm gonna say smart words. It's propagating a stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I felt like done with it. Like, if this was the 90s, the 80s or the 90s, I would have, I would have felt different. But like now, where I'm at in my life, and where the world is, we could have not, we could have not done something else.
Definitely
do something else. AEW, like, if you want to build heat another way.
There's got to be
not that.
I know my opinion. It's not lesser, but it's not needing to be heard as much. Again, I'm not of color, so I can't speak to that experience. And I can say the same. I noticed the same thing when you did. This is propagating that type of thing. The nice part is, not the nice part, but they weren't having him steal anything. It wasn't like he was doing that. He was being Swerve.
Yeah.
I will go back to this before I get into a little bit of this. Props to Prince Nana for bringing humor to what he could and being that kind of goofy. Like, I love the chocolate covered fruit. Like all that, very much needed in this. Also to Swerve in his delivery, it was measured, it was calm, and it was not like, I'm a crazy person destroying your... It wasn't like Brian Pillman and Stone Cold. This was premeditated, and you could tell there was evil in the intent.
Yeah.
And that was well done. So I give, as a performer, Swerve, great job on that. You got that across.
Yes.
As a parent, also, I'd hate when you bring children into it.
Oh, yes.
Having to have the baby be threatened. And then, I mean, Adolfo, we both agree on this. That shirt was too big for that child.
That was a smothering hazard. Swerve Strickland.
No.
Foo on you, sir. Foo.
But in coming to that, with the stereotype that it's propagating, with all of that and what you said before, Swerve wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to do a spot like this in the 90s and 80s because he wouldn't have been a top guy to begin with.
Right.
So that aside, like, it would have been a white guy doing it no matter what happened.
Yeah.
This, to me, also was not what they would have done in the 80s and 90s had it been like a Ron Simmons or The Rock or, Mark Henry or anyone else like that in the 90s. It wasn't them busting in do-rags and, the guns out and stealing everything in sight and putting it into a car. It wasn't the stereotype of it. It still was Swerve.
Yeah.
But it could have been done a hell of a lot of different ways. Honestly, if you want to go the creepier route, having Swerve sitting at like on a bench somewhere or at a coffee shop and Paige's family walks in. Like Samoa Joe did to AJ Styles. You have that set up with it, and you can build this vignette to it where he's not just right off breaking into his house. Like, you have that type of thing, like, or he's waiting outside in a car, like, I know where you live now. Which is also propagating a stereotype at the same time, but at least that's not as involved.
Or do the thing where Swerve and Prince Nana, they like show up in the audience. Maybe like 20 rows up or something like that, somewhere that Hangman can't get to, but they're there and they just sit and they watch, and then maybe at the end of the match they applaud and like get up and leave type thing. You know what I mean? Like,
there are ways to propagate this without bringing in the tired way of getting cheap heat this way, with both person of color breaking into a white person's house and threatening their baby.
Yep.
Creepy, but I'll say this for Swerve, in every one of his vignettes where he does these type of things, he is the king of creepy visuals. Whether it's the horror movie we watched with Nick Wayne, whether it's any, even talking about his music video, it's very stylized in that very much, and you get an emotion out of it. So, not the best way to do it, but really well done in a weird way.
Yeah, I mean, he is again, he is. Dare I say, he is masterful at what he does, Swerve Strickland, and I'm really happy that he's getting this push. This push. I wish that they would have
100%
written a way to get heat a different way.
100%. We then move on from the Swerve promo to a backstage promo again, which again, after that promo, kind of was like, this is an odd transition and a kind of odd way to cut back to, where we get Adam Copeland, the legendary Adam Copeland,
Rated R superstar,
speaking about how, again, Christian Cage for the fourth week in a row, like, why is he here? What's going on? But at least he's interrupted by Sting.
Yeah.
trying to get him to be like, dude, join us. You got to fight him. We need your help. And he's not willing to still. He's still standing his ground. I give it props for that. Edge won't fight him. This is reminiscent kind of Taker in early Kane, where he's like, I won't fight my brother.
Right, yeah, I won't fight my brother. Or Dominic and Ray.
Yeah,
you know,
Ray
was like, I'm not going to fight my son, you know.
Did this feel like this furthered anything for you going down the line at Alpha? Was it worth being on there?
To be honest, no. If you've been watching, like, you know that Adam Copeland is the X factor in this whole Christian Cage. Adam Copeland is the X factor in this whole Darby Allin, Sting, Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, Nick Wayne thing. You know that he's the free radical, if you will. I don't need to see sad boy Adam Copeland. I don't need to see that, because this is fourth week in a row. I can't do it. I just, you know, and he like, that's the look he has. He's just kind of like staring at nothing. I don't know, Renee. You know, it's like, all right, we're good. You know,
it's such a low energy thing for like what Christian said about Beth and everybody else in his family. Like he's not reacting, I think, on purpose, but it's an ambivalence that doesn't fit as well. Because we had our one women's match of the evening. Hooray! Woo-hoo, we're at here. Woo-hoo. Ruby Soho getting her shot at Hikaru Shida for the title. And when this started, I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a fun match. I really love watching Ruby Soho work. Shida's been doing well so far. Let's see how they do.
Yeah, and it was just, it started off, there were
not
some
like feeling out
spots. Yeah, there were some missed spots. It just, there wasn't, in the beginning, it didn't feel like there was a lot of intensity. You know, after I think the second near pinfall, that's when it started like to pick up with the intensity. But until then, it was just, you know.
They had a bump there with the roll spot where they were rolling around trying to get pin after pin after pin after pin. But yeah, not until the big knee strike from Shida when she was coming off the ropes into that, and then they're both on the ground, did it start to pick up speed. I also noticed, like, with the way Ruby was dressed this time and everything else, she looks like she's referencing Toni Storm's new look with the red lipstick and the all black versus Saraya, even though she's a lovely Saraya. Yeah. So I'm wondering, like, is that like subtle storytelling of like, is there a pull between her? She's pulled in two ways.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Saraya didn't come out at all.
She wasn't injured. Where was she?
Yeah, to interfere or anything like that. So yeah, so it's like, I've been saying this for a while. I feel like the Outcasts are done. You know, they just have to pull the trigger now. Yeah. You know, have Ruby Soho build up a storyline going after Chris Statlander, and that woman's belt, right? I
mean, they have a history already. I mean, they need to.
Right. Exactly. Going against Hikaru, for the AEW women's belt. To me, that feels like a 2 month from now storyline.
Yeah, she hasn't built there yet.
There was no build up. There was no build up, and that's the sad thing, is that Ruby Soho is a good wrestler. Hikaru Shida is a good wrestler. You know, they're both good wrestlers. It almost feels like AEW scheduling has a dartboard with like all the women's names and like, okay, what woman match are we gonna have now? Thump, Ruby Soho. Thump, Hikaru Shida. Okay, you know,
it was a decent match. I was happy it was there. I was sad the crowd was so dead for it for most of it, which but again, with everything they just come off of, I'm not surprised.
Yup. And unfortunately.
But then we had an explosion at the end as a wild Toni Storm with Luther in tow appears.
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
So good.
And I love when the camera pans to Toni Storm, black and white. Pans away from Toni Storm, color.
Yeah, she affects the world.
So good. It's so good.
It's so good. So give me some more of that. I mean, like, Toni Storm is going to be chasing Shida. Let's get some actual time where they're actually having to deal with each other and their differences in opinion and stuff like that, where she doesn't know who Shida is, and even though she does, but like that whole like action, I don't know who you are. And Shida's like, I've beaten you multiple times. Like, so it'd be great to see that kind of back and forth. Enjoyed the match, but was not my match of the night, sadly. We then had more MJF because you just couldn't get enough.
Yeah. Samoa Joe wanted to jump in.
Of course, because everyone wants to be part of MJF's world. Samoa Joe interrupts Max talking about everything going on with him, what he's going to do, and says you're going to need help going forward, especially with the guns, and offers his help as a tag team partner fill-in for Adam Cole if he gets his shot. And MJF doesn't say yes or no, but Joe says you're going to need it, because I feel like Joe might actually jump in and like also beat Max up to make him tag with him. It's like oh my god, this is just so many times.
As a spot, this spot worked more for me than the Kenny Omega spot.
And it led into our final match of the night, our headlining match, our top of the card, Okada and Orange Cassidy of Chaos versus the Blackpool Combat Club of Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli, with Danielson's new intro music with actual lyrics, which was bizarre.
Right?
Didn't fit at all. Didn't make me want to do that. I did put a new theme song. Love Cassidy pushing Okada off, going, no, I want to take on Danielson. I kind of want to see that match for the IC title, the international title coming up, because that would be great with the technical style versus Cassidy, who basically comedies his way out of things, which is great. I feel like Danielson was stuck in his grounded game, though. He wasn't going for a lot early on.
He I haven't seen Bryan Danielson so much these past few weeks. It kind of looked like he was just on cruise control. Yeah. In that, these are the moves I'm doing. You know what I mean? Which is fine. You know, it's a tag match. You know, you got Claudio there. And, you know, the ones that I felt were the stars were Orange Cassidy and Okada. Thank you.
Okada didn't do that much.
No, he didn't.
He wasn't in for most of it.
Yeah, though him and Danielson, when they got in, had great pop. And of anyone in that whole ring, Okada was the one that was getting the serious pops.
Oh, yeah. Well,
he's
a major legend there, and he fought Danielson at Wrestle Dream and broke his arm. That's the big thing, is that's the match they want to see. What I got out of it was like, damn, I want to see Orange Cassidy take on Claudio again, because if you got that big-ass guy who can move him up, the reversal up to a Slumdog Millionaire from that stuff was ridiculous.
You know, Claudio's a perfect base for Orange Cassidy to do all that, you know.
Easily. But you're right. Okada got big pops for not doing much.
Yeah. And also, you know, Claudio, we had talked about this off screen, but when Claudio and Wheeler Yuta are teaming together, Wheeler Yuta is the punching bag and Claudio is the hero. Here, Claudio was the punching bag and Danielson was
the bruiser, the heavy.
The bruiser, yeah. So it was just, I don't know. I like it when tag teams like divide the ass whooping amongst themselves better.
Tough to do when you have 4 personalities in the ring, but yeah.
Right. But as we said off screen, they're not tag teams per se. They're 4 they're 4 singles wrestlers that are coming together to wrestle against each other. So, you know, it is what it is. The other oddness that we had talked about off screen was Moxley, which I didn't realize that he was still not clear to come back.
As far as reported, he still has not passed the concussion protocol.
Yeah, which is nuts, because with what they did in Collision, like, I personally thought Moxley was back.
Right,
you know?
Right.
So when this match was billed, I was very when it was Claudio and Danielson and not like Claudio and Moxley, you know, because Moxley has the one that has the heat with Orange Cassidy.
Exactly.
You know, and then the final thing that was like was at the last minute. Moxley. That's when Moxley comes out.
He appeared,
you know,
just out of nowhere. Right. After Okada beat up Danielson a bit.
Yeah.
They said that there, and they also said at the same time the whole thing of Claudio and Orange Cassidy going at it for the international title in Collision. So
which
it was a lot to do.
Yep.
Also, can I say, from the cluster schmaz couple of endings we've had for the last couple of weeks, this was the most like wet fart ending that seemed
very
like
much
one
so.
A little too long.
Very much so. Very much so. Yep. Yep, where Okada's standing there like I guess he was talking to Daniel.
He was, yeah.
And the Blackpool Combat Club not jumping people.
I mean, they didn't have the numbers game because Chaos was out there with Rocky Romero and the Best Friends and all that. Oh, speaking of Best Friends, I even forgot about this. Loved also Okada doing the Rainmaker taunt and Orange Cassidy hugging him like, oh yes.
Yeah.
Give the people what they want. So good.
Give the people what they want. I have been wondering, especially ever since last week's collision with the House of Black coming back, it seems like the past few weeks they've been trying to make the Blackpool Combat Club more babyface, like a 90s babyface type situation, so that they can kick off against like the Mogul MC or against the House of Black. So maybe that's why we had Wet Fart ending.
It took away a bit from a really good match, which was my match of the night. It was fun to watch, but it just, I don't know. So Adolfo, week 2, you've now got a bigger sample size.
Yep.
You've looked at Dynamite with me for 2 weeks. How am I doing as a host? I mean, no, what did you think of the show?
Well, you as a host, good sir. 5 empanadas, and we're talking the guayaba con queso.
Oh.
The stuff that you go down to the island and you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This week's episode of Dynamite, it was good. It was entertaining. I'm giving it 3 empanadas. But this I'm gonna make it empanadas de tiburón. So which is empanadas with shark.
Yeah.
Which they're good. They're savory.
You shouldn't eat them, but yeah.
Right, you shouldn't eat them. And they have a little something that elevates it from the regular empanada.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. I was with you on this one. I gave it 3.5 actually to start with, because it felt like a good episode. I was watching the whole time. So, and this was to me because I can't say I've been to the islands to have specific ones. This is going to my local food truck up here, who are new immigrants that make them at home, and this is their grandmother's recipe. Really great stuff with their own salsa on the side. And then I got sick again because it's food truck food, and I vomited up one because there was one women's match, and it wasn't the best and everything else. So we're back down to 2.5.
Yep.
But still a good time overall. Would I go back to the food truck? Hell yes, especially anytime I want to. So I'd come back for more. Man, this was enjoyable. This was fun. And comparatively, it wasn't that bad of an episode to review. I mean, all of us had a good experience. You did, I did. Professor...
No, still stuck.
I don't want to talk about that. He'll find his way out at some point. I feel for him. I don't know what to do about it.
Maybe he's the next one against MJF. I don't know.
I'm all alone.
I wouldn't put it past him. But Adolfo, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. You are always welcome on the Just 3 Gents for Dynamite. I was telling you earlier, I might have to watch Rampage this week because there is a match with 4 of my favorite wrestlers in it that I just kind of have to see.
Yep.
Thank you, Abaddon, for being on my TV screen, which I'm looking forward to.
I'm excited. This is going to be my first time watching Abaddon wrestling.
Oh, I am hoping she has a good match because she definitely can do it, but it depends sometimes. But I'll say this, we love this so much. It's so great to share with everybody else. Remember to get on those socials. Jump on our BC WrestlePod on YouTube. Subscribe. Get those big notifications. Make sure you know about it. Tell your friends. Our ROH review did really well last week. Let's hope we can keep that running up there. Talk about Kenny Omega's nipples. We all want to talk about that type of stuff.
Glass cutting.
Glass cutting. Almost like tempered glass cutting. But for Adolfo, for JBL, for all of our wonderful people, the professor and all, remember, you're Biconic. We're all Biconic together, and we love this weird art form that is wrestling, and we love sharing it with you, and we'll see you in the next video.
Hello? Anybody? I'm stuck in the locker.